Hi guys, Ben here from the Rochester Health Club. Wanted to do a little bit of a different video today and do something more in line with what I do for my own training and how I'm programming for my clients as well while training at home with limited equipment. All you'll need for this today is a band. Ideally, if you've got two different resistances, say a medium band and a light band, that would be great, but you could just use one band if you needed to. Okay, so jumping into the side delts first. Like I said, we've got a giant set for the side and rear delts. We're starting with an isometric, 30 seconds with the heavier band, the medium band if you've got one. We're doing essentially a seated lateral raise, but isometrically. So we're staying in that position, we're resisting as hard as we can, keeping the chest nice and tall to avoid shrugging. And the reason for this is we're going to pre-exhaust our side delts before we then go into our working sets on our lateral raises to make the exercise harder and to make the light band feel heavier. So we're now straight into our seated lateral raises with no rest. If you can, anchor this as low as you can. So you can't see, but under the chair I've actually got this anchored to the floor with a dumbbell. What I mean by that is we're going to get it as close to the floor as possible. That's what I mean when I say anchored. The reason being, if we don't do that, we're going to have a real drop off in tension. So as I get closer to the bottom of the movement, there's essentially going to be no tension and there's going to be too much tension at the top, which is the nature of a band. And that's one of the restrictions that we have training at home with a band. So how we anchor it and how we can dictate how much tension we're going to receive through that band. Same as the isometric, I'm keeping my chest nice and tall. I'm really leading with the elbow. Imagine you're a puppet. That might sound strange, but imagine you've got string on your elbow and somebody's raising your elbows up like a puppet master would to a puppet. And again, we're really ensuring that we're raising directly laterally, so sideways. We're really raising in line with those side delt fibers. And really stick with the exercise, guys. Even if you hit failure, as you see, this is hard. I'm getting very, very close to failure in my last few reps, and it's a real skill to develop to not let your form break down when that happens. So we're finishing off the side delts with partials. Partials meaning that we're just going from that bottom to mid-range of the movement. I'm now standing up. Unfortunately, my head's out of frame, but you guys don't need to see my head while I'm doing this. We're standing up, I'm standing on the band, so there's a lot of tension now going through the band, which is why I can't perform a full rep. But we've already done the main work that we're doing. We're just trying to extend the set and cause even more metabolic stress to the delts. So we're raising again directly laterally. We're performing it exactly the same as our lateral raise, except the band is restricting our range of motion. Just find that contraction, which you should find it by now. Your delts should be on fire. Find that contraction and just stay with it. So now we're moving on to the rear delts, guys. Again, another giant set. Although we're bent over, chest still nice and tall like our lateral raises. Really importantly here, we're internally rotating at the shoulder. What this means is I'm rolling my shoulders forward, making sure that my elbows are nice and high, and I'm driving my elbows out and away from my body. It can feel quite awkward to get into this position, but once you find it, you'll really feel that contraction on your rear delts. And again, we're actively resisting as hard as we can. You can see in the video that I'm shaking all over the place, and that's because it is very challenging. So moving on to face pulls. Ideally, you could use a heavier band if you want to, and you're going to want to anchor it at about eye level. I couldn't with what I had in my living room. It just wasn't safe for me to do so, so I've used a lighter band and I've anchored it a little bit lower than I'd like. But you're really leading with the elbows, separating the band and driving the elbows backwards as well as outwards. Pull into your eye level, and this really will be hard after the isometric, which is the point. Like I explained in the side delt, we're looking to use those isometrics to pre-exhaust the muscles to then make the working sets with the light band, which would feel light otherwise, more challenging than it would be normally. And again, you'll see in the videos, and I do apologise for the facial expressions, but this was really tough. I'm going to get close to failure in these sets, and that's the aim. We're looking to drive that exercise intensity up when we're training at home. because we don't have lots of weight available to us. So we're using different tools in our arsenal to be able to do that. And again, I'm using that skill of not letting my form break down as I get closer to failure. Just really stick with it, find that contraction and finish the set nice and strong. So lastly, similar to our side delts, we're finishing with partials. You can't see, but I've got my feet on the band as opposed to under the chair this time. I'm not using the cuffs, I'm holding onto the band because I had to do that in order to get as much resistance as I needed. The further down the band you hold, the more resistance you're going to get, so you can alter that to what you guys need. So again, same as the isometric, I'm bent over, chest nice and tall. I've internally rotated my shoulders, so my shoulders are rolled forward and I'm just driving my elbows out. It might seem like I'm hardly moving, but you'll feel when you guys are doing this that you don't need a large range of motion in this. Your rear delts are going to be burning at this point. Any movement is going to feel, you're going to feel contraction, it's going to hurt. So just find that contraction, the range of motion is going to be limited by the band, and just stay on it. And again, this could be 20 reps here or to failure, or just as long as you can stand it, because you'll see when you guys go through this, the lactic acid buildup is very, very high. It really does burn. Okay guys, I really hope you enjoyed that. It's something a little bit different, and that's kind of the training that I do myself and the training that my clients come to me that are interested in. It's not just for bodybuilders. If you want to give something a little bit different within your shoulder training, give it a try. If you need any help, don't hesitate to send me a message. I'd be more than happy to help with form and things along that line. And let me know how you find it, guys, and I will speak to you soon. So before we jump into it, I just want to disclaim a few things first. We're going to be training shoulders, more specifically the side and rear delts. Reason being, a lot of people focus too much on their front delts, and our front delts get hit a lot during pressing movements, whether that's for the shoulders, they get hit indirectly when we're doing chest pressing, things of that nature, tricep exercises as well. And if you want big cap delts, you really need to be focusing more on the side and rear delts, and a lot of people do neglect them. And I also feel that a lot of people know how to train the front delts effectively, whether that's overhead pressing or front raises, and a lot of people might lack the knowledge when it comes to exercise selection and exercise execution for the side and rear delts. So that's why I wanted to delve into that today. It's also really important for me to mention that this style of training that I'm going to be going through, the giant sets, they're fun, they're interesting, but they also shouldn't be the only element to your training. They really, really do have a place when it comes to creating intensity, especially at home with the equipment that we've got. But you do want to pair this with what we call meat and potato exercises. So you want to pair this with your heavy overhead pressing that you're going to look to progressively overload and progressively get stronger at over a number of weeks. So this shouldn't be the only way that you're training. It should go hand in hand with those heavy progressive exercises too.